Welcome to the Supreme Lending Dallas Show, where you'll be introduced to different speakers on different topics, and you'll meet different guests for each of our episodes. Let's get started.
My name's Anthony DiToma. I am with Supreme Lending Dallas. I've been there for a little over 8 years, as a matter of fact. I've been in the mortgage industry for 15 years, so all the way back in 06, and am still going today. An organization that is very near and dear to my heart is called Team Rubicon. It's a disaster response organization primarily comprised of veterans and first responders. I am not a veteran. I'm a civilian. I'm the son of an Army veteran, though. So it is an organization that responds to natural disasters, fires, floods, hurricanes, even the COVID-19 pandemic. So we've got several deployments that I've been on, from Hurricane Harvey down in Houston in 2017 to the tornadoes in Moore, Oklahoma back in 2013. So they do a lot of good work. There's 140,000 volunteers nationwide. And you know, even when it's not a storm, they respond by doing things like helping with food distribution for literally dozens of cities nationwide through the food banks for COVID-19. Now they are operating 24 vaccination sites for the pandemic. So they really check all the boxes and cover the spectrum of volunteering capabilities. For me, it ended up being a friend of a friend that was already in the organization, and I initially thought it was veterans only, but it is not. So anybody who's out there who's interested in giving back to their communities or stepping up to the plate, go to teamrubiconusa.org, and there's a volunteer section there that you can sign up yourself. Honestly, the reason it was so intriguing to me, it's a physical way for you to get back to the communities in a way other than just writing a check. You show up at these people's homes the minute after one of the biggest disasters in their life has ever taken place, and you're just doing a little bit to help a perfect stranger get back on their feet. There really is no more gratifying feeling. Yeah, Supreme Lending is a nationwide residential mortgage lender, and honestly, to your point, I've never really considered the job as being a sales position per se. I don't consider myself a sales guy. What I do is advise clients on options available to them, whether they be home purchases, refinances, getting home equity loans. And if my clients come to me and ask me what I think the market is offering for one scenario or the other, I advise them on the products and costs and rates available. And so it's taking a little bit of the Team Rubicon mentality and applying it to mortgages. What do you need and how can I help you? Yeah, investment properties is a significant portion of my particular book of business in a given month. The reason they are so popular and the reason they're so beneficial is if somebody wants to invest $100,000 in, say, a stock portfolio or an IRA, they've got to come up with $100,000. Well, an investment property is also a $100,000 investment, except with a couple of major differences. The most important difference being maybe you only give 20% of that $100,000, right? Your 20% down payment, and then you're having a tenant pay down the rest of that investment balance on your behalf, right? So if you still walk away with the $100,000 investment at the end, but you've only funded 20% of it, that's a significant advantage of investment properties over a traditional investment account. It's important to note that Fannie Mae is the organization that writes the guidelines and the rules on the vast majority of investment loans that are being done in this country. There are other ways of financing rental properties, but Fannie Mae is the most common. Fannie Mae basically says if you're a U.S. citizen or a temporary or permanent resident, and you have a minimum credit score of 620, as long as you can afford the investment property and as long as you can document the assets, you qualify. Very similar to the qualifications for a primary residence with a couple of differences. Number one, you must also document reserve requirements when you're purchasing an investment property. In other words, aside from the cash that you are using to buy the house, you need to have a rainy day fund just in case of certain financial constraints that investment properties can bring, like a vacancy, right? Sometimes tenants move out and then you have a vacancy for a month or so. That's gonna be where your reserve account comes in. Another main difference of investment properties as compared to primary residence is you cannot have any gifted funds for the down payment on an investment property. You can on a primary residence, but on an investment property, any of the funds that are necessary to close that transaction have to be in your name. Rates on all mortgages are issued on a risk basis, right? So the rates on a primary residence are always going to be slightly lower than they are on an investment property. The rates on investment properties today are going to be between 0.5% and 1% higher than the rate that you would see on your own primary residence. Any property that is between a single family, what we call a 1 to 4 family unit. So that is single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, and 4 family units all fit under that umbrella as eligible for Fannie Mae financing. Anything 5 units or greater is by definition going to be considered a commercial property, and you would need to either pay cash for that or find a commercial lender. Yeah, if you buy an investment property, there is no requirement that the property be located in the same state that you reside. You don't even have to travel to the state where you're buying the property to sign closing documents. In this internet age that we've been in for the past decade plus, all of these mortgages are being done remotely. Documents are handled through email and secure uploads. Initial disclosures are handled electronically. Even your mortgage closing, your signing of the closing documents is handled by a remote notary. So there's no requirement that you be in the same state as the property you're purchasing. There are plenty of investors that want to buy properties near their own home, and that way, if something pops up and the tenant calls that there's, the water heater went out, and if you're a reasonably handy person, you can go to Home Depot and grab a hot water heater and install it yourself. However, if the property is located a further distance from you, there are thousands of realtors themselves, or there are hundreds of property management companies that will manage that property on a monthly basis for you, including accepting monthly payments from the tenant and handling smaller, more inexpensive repairs that need to be done to the property. Yeah, I sure do. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 15 years. I have real estate agents that specialize in investment properties all over the country that would be, I'd be happy to refer you to. There are also turnkey investment companies out there that a turnkey company is a company that buys a distressed property, renovates it, rents it out to a tenant, and then manages it for you. So it's basically like a one-stop shop for residential investing. Honestly, at Supreme Lending, our average loan turn time is 22 days from start to finish. We move pretty fast. So typically 3 weeks from the time you get me an executed contract until you're at the closing table signing closing documents is more than enough time for us. In the investment space, that can be lengthened a little bit depending upon whether renovations are still ongoing with the property at the time you put it under contract. But the typical processing time is 3 to 4 weeks. Honestly, most of my clients have found that our process is very advantageous to getting the loan done quick and painlessly, right? We have found at Supreme that if we don't ask for 1,000 documents from you and beat you over the head with all these underwriting requirements, that you're going to find the experience more pleasurable, and that's going to build a customer that wants to come back and use us again, which is our goal, right? We're here to build clients for life. So I think we set ourselves apart in making the process quick and painless for you. Yeah, you can find me at Anthony DiToma Residential Mortgage Loans on Facebook and supremelending.com.